Girls, and welcome to the Preacher Girl podcast today. I'm so excited to be with you. You have no idea how long I've waited to do this podcast. I know how long you've waited. This is the most requested podcast that we ever will do or have done so far. 9 out of 10 times when I get a question, it is Pastor Sharo. My life is so disorganized. How can I fix it? So we are so blessed and so fortunate to have with us today in the studio via Zoom my favorite organizer in the whole wide world, one of my good friends. I'm so excited to have her here. Originally, I wanted to fly her into New York, but it's ridiculous when her schedule is that way and my schedule is this way. So I want you to just give a huge, amazing PG welcome to my friend, Wilmari Hamilton.
Woo! Hey everyone! I'm so excited
Will you just
to be
hi,
here.
Wilmari, to everybody?
Yes. Hey, Preacher Girl community, whether you're listening or watching, I'm so excited that you guys are here. I'm Wilmari Hamilton.
That's who she is. And she is here for what you asked for, which is a podcast on organization and how to organize your life a little bit. Now, I try to do this myself. You know, one of our podcasts a few months ago was on how to organize your life. And it was kind of like paradoxical to me that somebody as disorganized as I am, it is my confession. It is my Achilles heel. It is my weakness. Because I'm telling you, I could clean my closet Saturday, which I did last Saturday, and today it looks like a bomb hit it. So Mari's gonna help us get some things in order, and she's gonna do most of the talking, hopefully. But I have a million questions, so we are gonna jump right into the podcast. Before we jump into the questions, I want to tell you a little bit about Wilmari. She is on staff at one of my favorite places on the planet, and that's RTTN Church. Wilmari, will you tell us what you do there?
Yes. So at Redemption to the Nations Church, I am the connections pastor. And so what I do is overall connection, assimilation of first-time guests to the body and to our culture and what we do. And so I do that through several different areas. One is Connect Track. That's just like a fancy way of saying a new member or people that are checking us out kind of class. I do the First Impressions team, which is parking, greeting, ushering, and connections. And then I help administrate conferences, any kind of little different systems and structures here and there. And just get to connect with people on a weekly basis. And I love it.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, 100% of the time, even if she's under immense stress, and I've seen her in those times because as a pastor, I've learned to read stress, and that behind that beaming smile sometimes is a brain that is going in 50 directions at once.
Yes.
Not only is she a connections pastor, she is a mom, and she is of two of the most amazing kids you'll ever see, and brilliant children. The wife of a really cute husband, if I do say so myself, and she oversees so many people on staff right there at that church. So I'm so excited to have her here. So excited that you get to know her, and so excited that she's a PG girl. All right, so let's jump right into this podcast. I'll ask her a few questions, and then in the end, I'll ask her some of your questions, right? So if you're ready, let's begin. Well, Mari, you told me a long time ago, and today as well, that perfection just happens to be your enemy. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I think one of the big things about organization, or when you see someone who is like me, is, oh, she has it down and it's perfection every time, or on Instagram, they're like, I don't know how you do it all. And I'm like, I have no option, or else I can become unglued. And so I think it's just like how an artist would become unglued if they weren't able to create or do something really fun. I think I'm just hardwired for organization and structure. And so I, as I was telling you, I think perfectionism is a shield sometimes that people use to pretend that everything's okay because it looks okay. And when really, like you were saying, on the inside, you're just falling apart. And so I think sometimes we have put too much of an importance on that word, on perfection, or I just want everything to look perfect, or I want it to be perfect. And so I strive very hard to bring the most excellent thing that I can bring to people. At the same time, I struggle when that excellent isn't what I thought it should be, the expectation that I set, or what I think others expect of me. I'm not rising up to that level. And so in my life, and through Jesus and prayer, I always have to find myself discovering what that looks like in the season that I'm in versus what it should look like at all times.
That is so important, because I mean, depending on the season that we're in, whatever perfect or at least right means might be a different thing.
Yeah.
Even though truth is absolute, sometimes where we are changes according to what God has in store for us. I love that. Okay, so tell me this. I've always said that, at least in my life, organization, or the ability to have everything, a place for everything and everything in its place, is just not in my DNA. I want it to be. Is it possible for someone to learn to be organized?
Yes, I for real have seen it in team members' lives that we've had. You know, there's different team and there's different personalities with that. So where I am a stickler on email, I check it every day. I freak out if there's more than 10 unopened emails. There are people who have hundreds of unopened emails and text. I cannot look at people's phones who are like that, but I do have friends who have become self-aware, like what you're saying. You're self-aware of what you're struggling with, and they go, okay, my life is not functioning in a way that it needs to for this season if I don't do something about it. And they have started little, they've failed, but they keep striving forward to become that person. And I think we're going to probably touch on this a lot, or I'm going to say this a lot, that the Father needs you to be for the season that you need you, that He needs you to be. And I think motherhood is one of those examples. When I became a mother, I failed at it. I mean, it was insane, because I thought I knew what it was like, and I thought I knew what to do, and I had all the right baby things. And, you know, you could have all the right things, and if that baby is not sleeping, you're not sleeping, ain't nobody happy. And then you just become a huge meltdown. And so while it looked good, I wasn't doing good. And I think those of you that are listening that are going, oh, this is another one of those things where I'm going to set myself up to fail. I think you need to start looking at it from a different perspective. Instead of this huge picture of what you think it should look like, go to prayer first and say, what are the things that I need to work on first so that I could get to that place where I don't feel that feeling?
Wow. Do you hear that? I mean, that's step one. Go to prayer first. Ask the Lord, because maybe the things that are visible that we're seeing that looks disorganized or looks like it needs work aren't really the first things we need to tackle.
Yes, I agree. I think I that is definitely step one. I think you're like, are you seriously saying pray over organization? Yes, I really do, because I believe, I've been reading about Joseph, and it's been wrecking my life. Joseph was a ginormous dreamer, but Joseph was an administrator. The Lord gave him steps, and he went to the king, and the king was like, that sounds awesome. Thank you. Now you do it, And I don't know that Joseph was like ready for that, but he was equipped for that. And I think that's where we find ourselves a lot of times. And it's like Joseph prayed to the Lord and he got his answer. And I think that that's what some preacher girls need to do, is go to him about these little things that sometimes can become hindrances in a big way.
Yeah, that I never thought of that before. I mean, Joseph knew that 7 years of famine was coming.
Yeah.
But what do you do after you give them the news that 7 years of famine is coming? You got to do something. You've got to be able to implement whatever it is you're talking about. I love that. That's amazing. Okay, so go to prayer first and ask the Lord to point to you where in your life does that reorganization or that step towards organization need to begin. I love that. Okay, so tell me about if I am. Okay, I got to show you this, Wilmari. Here's my confession.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh,
Do you see
oh,
that number?
I can't see it. Is that
That's
saying 19,000?
399.
Oh my, I'm
19,399.
literally coming off much. I'm going to take coffee for that one.
That is my email.
Yes.
That is my email. And so I should delete it all because most of it is unnecessary
Right.
email. But I'm a little bit afraid that there's something in there that I want to go back to or that I'll miss. Do you have any advice?
Yeah, I do. I have advice. I think here's one very practical thing. I think after you pray and you seek the Lord and he shows you areas that you see that you need to fix is start with very practical steps, and we are surrounded in a place of such amazing resources, right? And pray about that too. Where should I go to seek help? Because sometimes it could just go crazy, right? Like, don't go to Marie Kondo if your closet looks like a complete bomb. Okay, like let's just start small. And so I think even with emails, I would say, okay, are all your emails going to the same place? Work, play, serious business. I have one email that is just for when you go to the store and they ask you for your email, and I'm such a bargainista, I'm like, yes, please send me any coupons. I have a specific one for that. I have a throwaway one that was like from my college days. And that's for when you don't really want to give out your real email. Like it's just going to become spam. And then I have my work email, which I legitimately only use for work stuff. I think that will bring also clarity, because when you sit down at work and you open it and that's the only one you use, you could become really overwhelmed. Or that store you really like, H&M, is having a sale and you're like, ooh, let me go there. And it totally throws off your day. So I think
Yes.
those are practical steps. And like what you're saying is I would get someone that knows you very well and have them go through it first. And then they go, okay, the ones that are left, I think, are the ones that you would really like,
Now that is so good because my assistant has all my email passwords and she can absolutely go through and okay, I'll tell her after, but like that's happening today.
I love that.
So tell me
Yeah.
about patterns.
So I think one of the big things is just developing patterns, because you've kind of touched on this. I think that what we think of organization, sometimes we try to compare it to an organized person that we know. So for example, I am a piler, and you wouldn't think of that when you think of me. So like during the work week, I take off my clothes and I pile them. I'm not always one that hangs
You
up,
do that?
puts away. Huh?
You do that?
I do. Oh, yeah. Because like what you're saying, it is not a major that I need to major on right now. Sometimes, they say you major on minors. And that's a minor thing to me. My closet, while I love clothes, is not something that I'm willing to spend my energy on every day to keep perfect. I mean, who's looking at it? And so patterns, you need to start developing patterns. Pastor Shara talked about this a couple podcasts ago. Instead of going, my goal is to have a clean house the entire day. I remember you talked about your bed, instead of making the goal, like, I'm going to make my bed every day. No, make your pattern that after you brush your teeth and you get your cup of coffee, you make the bed. And I think that is practicality for organization. I'll start small, like the pantry. A lot of times for me in the season that I'm in as a mom, the pantry is a really big deal. I need to know what's in there. I need my kids to be able to reach snacks because they need 100 snacks all the time. I need to be able to know what I have for lunches. And so what I did was I went to the dollar store. Organization doesn't have to be expensive. I went to the dollar store. I grabbed baskets. I put salty and sweet, and then I put flour. I didn't, now you see these Pinterest pictures or Instagram pictures, which I love. And it's like, It's the Container Store in your house, okay?
Yes, I know. When I follow you on Pinterest, it's like, look at what Wilmari did.
And that is like a dream when I don't have children, and that's what my pantry will look like. Maybe I don't know, because then maybe the pantry won't be a big deal to me.
Hey, I don't have children, and my pantry does not look like that.
Oh man. And so I think sometimes, again, the expectation that we place on ourselves is based on what we see around us versus what we know from God is what we need to do. And so the pantry is one place. Your closet, if your closet is small and you really in the morning, it is very hard for you to get ready because you're not organized in your closet, then fix that. That small, start very small and make those steps. Like, okay, when I get home, instead of just laying everything off and putting on my pajamas, you have to be intentional about hanging everything up because for the rest of the night, it's kids, homework, cooking, bath, sleeping, and then you fall asleep. So recognize your own patterns and then adjust them to make it a little easier for you.
Wow. So far, ladies, we've had pray first. Pray about what it is that where you need to begin in your organization journey. And second, recognize your own patterns. If you could give us one amazing piece of advice or something that's dear to you, tell us what it would be.
I think the number one thing that I think people struggle with is letting go of things. I know it.
I'm going to switch to the one person view right now.
By nature, obviously, I'm not a hoarder and I'm not a person. Now, I'm very sentimental and there are things to me that are very important. But I think with organization, the one thing that I would say is it really is an self-aware process a lot than inviting everyone else in. If I became like a professional organizer and I came to people, that's why you see Marie Kondo sometimes is counseling people as well as organizing her life, because I think sometimes it could be, I think, a myriad of like inner reasons why we hold on to things, so pot holders. Okay. And I don't know why, but like we keep pot holders until they are twice dead, beaten, have been on fire 30 times. And they're like $1.
I know.
Okay.
Like
why?
They got burns on them and stains.
Yes. And I think, why am I have other ones or even dish rags, it's like
dish rags.
Okay, that's not a good sign. It's probably not healthy to be cleaning anyhow with it, but you keep because you're like, well, I don't want to spend it. Yet we go to our makeup drawer or we go somewhere else and we buy a new tube of lipstick every time. Do we really wear that much lipstick? No. And so I think it's one of those balances of, okay, let's go to my closet. Do I really need 17 black shirts? Wait, don't talk. That's me. I do. I need 17 black shirts. But do I really need to keep that? Do I really need to hold on to that? And it could be books. It can be planners. It could be toys for your kids. Whatever it is that you're trying to organize in your life. It's one of those things where you have to ask the Holy Spirit, okay, why am I holding on to this? Because more times than not, it's not about the thing. It's about maybe a feeling or a memory. You watch those shows. Well, I do the hoarder shows, and they always get down to, well, when I was little, we never had anything to eat. And so that's why I have cans from 1979 in my pantry. Now, you might not be in that place, but there is definitely things that you need to let go of so that you could be lighter for the next season.
Yeah. So how do you then, well, I mean, because some things, I guess, I'm not a hoarder myself, and
Yeah.
I let go easily. You don't have very many relics or baby blankets. In fact, I have none.
Right.
But how do you decide?
Yeah.
And how do you part with something like that you have a sentimental attachment to?
Yeah. So I have sentimental things. So I have a box of, and I have several boxes. I have a box of wedding things, my flowers from my wedding, letters from my wedding, the tiara I wore at my wedding. I have a box of,
Have your dress?
I do. And I actually have been dying to do a smash the dress or like mess the dress. And I've been waiting for my kids to get older because I want them to be a part of that. And so, but I think the thing is it's stuff is not bad. When stuff is getting in the way, then we have to figure that out. But like, for instance, let's say baby stuff. I've looked online and I see like you can take your kid's baby clothes or a baby blanket and you can make patches, you can send it in and get a blanket made out of it.
Wow.
Right? So where something is just taking space in a closet or in a
And shove it
drawer,
away where you never really see it.
yes, it can become like a family heirloom or like a baby blanket or something that you could gift to your child when they get married or they have a child. And or my daughter is an artist, and I actually I'm currently packing up my house because we're selling it. And so this organized person is living in chaos. And so she's an artist and she holds on to things. She's not like her mama. My son is like me. My daughter wants to hold on to things. Well, there is 100 and something art, and I'm like, baby, you've got to choose, and she's like, Mom, I can't. And I don't really want her to go either. So I found an app and you could take pictures of your children's art. It keeps it for you. And then you can turn it into art. So you can actually put 100 pictures in huge canvases and display them in your house. And it becomes like a modern art project for you. There's fun ways to cycle up on physical things.
Yeah.
When it comes to life organization, I think we have to let go of old patterns. We have to let go and be willing to be flexible and change into who God wants us to be. And I say that very slowly and intentional because there's my struggle too,
Yeah.
Not everyone has the same process that I do. And not everyone needs a day planner with a things to do list every day in order to be successful in what they're doing. And so, yeah.
So you mentioned the planner for maybe 6 times, maybe 60 times since we started this podcast.
And I sound so old because I said day planner. So
You do.
scheduler, planner.
So tell me, do you have a paper day planner? Do you have a book, or do you use your
Yes.
app? Or what's your advice and suggestion?
So I use a physical planner. It is always with me. I don't ever travel without it. So this one is the one I have, and it has a monthly view, and then it has a weekly view with my to-do things.
Okay. So do you find this works better for you than a digital, than the?
Yes. Yes. So, and so I wish that I could say that I'm all digital because it's like makes me cool or whatever, but I am a person that even when listening to sermons, I write things down. If for whatever reason I find myself without a notebook and paper, I do type in my notes. But there is something for me when I write something down, it becomes part of me. In this day and age, there's so many cute planners out there, and there's so many apps.
Okay.
I mean,
but I don't want to, I got to tell you this because this is what I've heard from several preacher girls, and you just hit on it. So before we run into
tell me.
Planner mania.
Yeah.
Because there are so many cute planners and journals and books, people buy them all. And then they start planning in all of them. And that's worse than not having a planner at all. So do you think you should declutter and get rid of everything except one?
I do. And here's why too. I actually have planners from about 6 years ago, not because I want to keep them, but just in case something comes up that it becomes my journal of sorts. And that's what I would say is figure out what you need. So for example, I cannot just do a monthly planner. There are some people who just need a monthly planner and they do their to-do list on their phone. I need a monthly planner and a weekly view because what I do requires me to have lists with me at all times. Because if, let's say, Pastor Kevin needs something, I am intentional to write things down so that when he asks, it's on there and I'm able to answer him or answer my team. And so I think what I would say to PG girls who are struggling with that is, yeah, it's a really cute book and I am with you. I love the colors and all that stuff, but it is so much, you become a better administrative assistant to yourself when you don't have 17 other books that you struggle with. Now, this book started in September 2018. And I'm super excited. It's almost like a gift to myself.
I love it.
Because in January, I get to buy a new fresh one. And so
I'm telling you, I'm obsessive compulsive when it comes to buying books, right? Especially books with no lines in them. It is my weakness. In fact, look, here's proof right here. If you ever show me a book with a plain white unlined page, I'm like,
all over it.
It's like a sin for me not to purchase it. Look, there's another one. Look, I'm not even kidding. I have on my desk right now, I have several of them. Now, however, there is just something, and I write my sermons in that. I have forced myself to type my sermons. I've forced myself to do it because I prefer to write them. But because people want my notes and I share my notes freely, it's easier to email it or text it or something like that. But there is a certain satisfaction that you just hit on right there that comes with finishing a book.
Yes.
Even if you're not reading it, even if you are writing in it, when you get to that last page, I feel it. I feel it. And when you get to start a new one, you know how excited you feel with a new book, right? But when you get to start a new one because you finished the old one, there is a fulfillment. I feel that comes with that.
And I think too, it's like with everything that we've talked about is celebrate the small victories. Okay.
Yes,
if you made your bed for a whole week, pat yourself, put that on Instagram. I mean, or encourage someone else to go, listen, I have done this for 5 days. And you know, even if it's reading your word.
Okay. So if we were to do organizational priorities, and before we go, I mean, we're winding up, but I want to make sure that, let's say we've prayed about it and God has showed us some areas in our lives that really need to be organized. If you were to tell a preacher girl, look, this is the order. Don't obsess over your spice rack, right? I think that's one of the things we've really established. It does not change the course of your ministry. It does not change your purpose in life to have that. You know, do you think sometimes when we do obsess about things like that, it's hiding a bigger and a deeper issue?
Yeah, yes, I think it definitely does, because I think if we are hyper focused on how cute our makeup looks, we are then taking away from the focus that we should be doing on our morning routine. You know, whatever that morning routine looks like. So what I would say to you is this: if you find yourself, oh my word, through this, even the Lord's kind of nudging me, like, see, you didn't really need to focus on the t-shirt drawer or whatever. Then it's just, I don't want to say it's simple, but it's like when we find, I'm trying to put words to this. Okay, spiritually speaking, if I know that I struggle with this sin, I go to God and I say, your grace and your mercy is upon me. I repent of this. Help me overcome my sin, right?
Yeah.
And not that this organization is sinning. However, we can use that pattern of, Lord, I come to you and I am so sorry that I have hyper-focused on things that really I shouldn't have, they don't matter. I do realize that what you're asking me to do is not watch TV for 3 days so that I can know what I'm going to do in that preaching next week. Or what you've asked of our family this week is to lay down going out to eat all week so that we can then have money or budget for our family vacation. And we are so hard to extend grace to ourselves, but so easy to extend grace to others. And I think the Lord really wants that interchange in all things. And I know as a preacher girl myself, there are moments and seasons that I have failed that test. I have failed the, hey, will you come away with me, and not focus on having the clean house and the perfect food and having the right amount of time spent with each child. And I neglect the first thing that I should be taking care of. And so that's what I would encourage you preacher girls is, wherever you are in life, whether that's high school or singleness or marriage or even older, there's all something that the Lord wants us to focus on that is for Him, that once we do that, these other things will really fall into place. And I find that out in my morning time. If I don't commune with the Lord, and I know it's so hard for me. I don't really have an established morning routine. I wish I did, but I have children. And so, but if I don't wake myself up earlier than them, I struggle.
Every successful, by any measure, person, and especially preacher people, have said to me, I don't keep my phone by my bed.
Yeah.
I don't keep my phone by my bed, because I've heard that is a thief of your peace. It is a thief of your joy. People wake up in the morning and the first thing they do is grab for this. And then all the pressure of life just comes down on you. And some people even put it in another room, or they put it so far away that they have to go and do everything else. So I know in my life, I try to spend time with the Lord before I ever touch that thing.
But something I do that might be surprising is I'm not available at all times. So after 7, my phone goes on silent every night. I don't do it. I don't get notifications. I don't get any of that. I also don't get pop-ups for emails or Facebook or Instagram. I literally, the red bubbles, number one, they annoy me if I have red bubbles, and I feel like I have to take it off the list. So I don't do any of that. I don't know how many emails are in my inbox at night. I don't check that. My work teammates know, hey, Wilmari puts it on silent at this time. I've told the bosses that I say, listen, if you need me, call me. You are my favorites list. It will go through. You will not bother me at all, because I know that they don't, take advantage of that or anything like that. My family knows that. So where I struggle in the morning to try to do a routine at night, I'm usually in bed by 9. And that's what I need in order to be what I am. And so while people say to me, like, you have so much energy, it's come from a whole lot of understanding. I don't get good sleep. I might be able to fake it, but it's not genuine and it's not in excellence. And so I think what you're saying is so good. If the phone is something that you struggle with, you really don't need it to survive, but I understand the feeling that has been created that you do. And FOMO, like fear of missing out. I think sometimes I've had to have seasons of not seeing what's going on, because then I'm like, why didn't I get invited? Or why can't I do that? Or, oh, I don't have a sign for my kids on their first day of school. I'm doing just good to take a picture of them, And so,
there's an actual thing called Facebook depression? Yes. Like they're diagnosing this nonsense, right?
Yes, I think so. And so I think if a practical step like you like to give, what are the top 3 things that you need to get in order that the Lord is showing you in order to have a successful season? I think 2 of the words that I hate when people ask, they say to me like, well, you look really busy, or you're so busy. And then one is, well, you look like you have it all together. How do you achieve such balance? And I just want to scream like, I'm not busy. I work really hard at having days and nights that I don't do anything, but they don't see that. And I'm not saying it in a negative way, but I'm the one that's in charge of what the Lord has given me. Yes. And I need to make sure that when I'm on, I'm able to be on. On Sundays, that's when people see me, or at a training. And of course, I'm going to be vibrant and I'm going to have high energy. that's what I do. That's
Yes.
my, that's what the whole week is for, is to, all of the downtime, all of the prep time is so that I can be as excellent as I can, when I am connecting with people and doing trainings with people or being a leader with people. And that's why it's worth it to me to have discipline throughout the week, because then I am free to do
Oh
what
my
I need
gosh, I
to do.
love that. That is such a major part of organization,
Yes.
because I get that sometimes too. I know people in my life that get that. People say, "Well, you're always running helter skelter. You're always doing a million things at once," but they don't know the preparation that went into making me able to do that when they see me.
Yes.
And that is so important, preacher girls. I think that Wilmari has hit the nail on the head, and the ability to be where you are completely and fully, totally in that space, even in your downtime. When you rest 100%. And when you shut down, it's down. And when you're go.
Mm-hmm.
And this myth about balance, it's a
Yeah,
myth to me,
it really
because
is.
yeah, no, that really sometimes seems like an excuse to me for complacency.
Yeah.
Just go at one pace. That we weren't created, I don't think, to do that kind of thing. And there were seasons when Jesus went away to be with God,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and there were seasons when he went to the wedding and he hung out eating fish and bread. But there were also seasons when he was intense and very purposeful and was dodging crowds and walking on, there were those
Yes.
seasons. And I love that about you. I love your energy. I sometimes feel like I want people to be that way a lot more. I wish there were more people like that in my life. But then when it's time to unwind, I love that we can come down. I like
Yes.
that we can not run and not say things and not do things and be things for everyone else.
Yeah.
So, well, Mari, if you had to, I have in a second, I'm going to just go through real quickly all the things that, let me tell you first, and then you'll close up for us. And just because that's the way my brain works, um, you said, and as far as organization goes, the very first step is to pray, about where in your life God needs you to begin this organization, this purge, and this process, really. Wow, there are two more P's right there. So pray. The second one is patterns. You're going to start developing habits and patterns, small things, not huge things, little things that line up with your lifestyle and your quirks and your habits. The third thing is part with some stuff. See, it's a P again. It's like the purging. Don't hold on to the old pantyhose. Just give away, or eliminate, or find ways to creatively keep the things that you are sentimentally attached to. Better ways. So pray, patterns, party. And then for the fourth one, I put party, which is celebrating the small victories. Whenever you finish that book, whenever this is completed, even if it was a little bit at a time, party about it. Celebrate yourself. Be easy and give yourself as much grace as you will give others. Four, prioritize your time with Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
That's first.
Mm-hmm.
He comes first. If you want to organize the rest of your day, I think it's like the tithe. When you give
Yes.
him the first of it, it redeems all the rest of your day. See, we got four P's, girl.
Look at that. That's
Yeah.
good.
Okay. So, girls, I know your questions I feel them in my spirit just bombarding me. So, if you've got these questions, go on the PG Girl community. Ask
Yes.
Wilmari. Don't ask me. I'm not good at organizing, but I'm going to be, because I'm going to follow these steps, all of them. And if they're already implemented, I'm going to start doing them purposefully. I think that's the key, when we are purposeful about what it is, the steps we're taking. But if you have questions, if you're a mom and you're just losing it when it comes to packing lunches, or if you're a pastor and you're losing it when it comes to scheduling your study time, as opposed to people barging in and out of your office all the time, or getting any self-care time, if you're a busy professional, whatever it is that you're dealing with as far as organization, go ahead and write to Wilmari on the PG Girl Insider community. And today, the giveaway is our organization package. So not only do we have one of my favorite planners that's going to be yours. It's a PG Girl planner. I know.
I want that. I'm like, yay!
But we're going to send you the PG Girl planner plus some other secret goodies that come inside of a package just for one lucky PG Girl that will share this podcast on your personal Facebook and get your friends who you know need it to come on in and join us. So, Wilmari, you get to close this up and speak directly to PG Girls right now and tell them whatever the Lord has laid on your heart.
Yeah, I think one of the things that come against us striving to do better, number one is competition, number two is comparison, and number three is complacency. And I would say to you, I'm trying to direct it straight at you, is do not let the fear of failure stop you from the first step. Do not let past things hold you back from establishing new patterns. I love how Pastor Shero said it. I think the word balance has been so skewed in the wrong way. We all have our different seasons. I am about to enter into a very, very busy season. And so what I normally put high priority on in other seasons sometimes goes down the list to family time, food time, and making sure that I'm prepared for next week. And if your seasons looks different, it's all right. It's all right to know. It's just like physical seasons. We have winter, fall, spring. It's a process. All of it is a process. And so what I would say is, those P's, we worked that out, is start with prayer today, and ask the Lord in this season, what does it look like for Wilmari to be the best daughter she can be to you, the best, and then you name your thing, wife, mother, friend. And sometimes he'll say, listen, it might not look like you're going to go out a lot next week with all your friends. It might look like you're going to prepare with me because you have 3 preaching engagements in the next week. And our spirit to yield to that will then bring a harvest that will make us successful for that season. And I think just be encouraged. I have failed. My closet doesn't look perfect right now, which, by the way, I have a walk-in closet. It's not that big. I guess it is big, actually. And it's not always organized. However, it does look different with different seasons. I change out my winter and I change out my summer. And some of you, I think right now in the kingdom, there is that change of guard, so to speak, in your life. And do not fear it. Now, I hear the Lord saying, do not fear, daughter, but be encouraged, because he's going to equip you with the necessary tools, systems, and structures to be able to, when the Spirit of God comes and that encounter comes, you can run into it knowing that you've already set yourself up to be able to run freely.
Oh, I love that. I love you said competition, comparison, complacency. And you said it at the beginning. You said you don't have to be the people you see on Facebook.
No,
You don't
thank
have
God.
anybody. And I think the pressure of the things we see on social media and on television that makes us think that that's who we need to be is unnecessary. It's a trick of the enemy. And we really, really just need to learn to enjoy what God has put in ourselves.
Yes. And I think you say it all the time. No one else can be Shero. No one else can be Wilmari. And we struggle. I struggle sometimes. Well, maybe I was too much, or maybe I said the wrong thing. And I check myself, and I'm like, no, I was who you asked me to be, because I have prepared for this, for such a time as this. And I will not be ashamed of who I am. I will work to perfect who you want me to be. But each one of you is needed in the kingdom. And I'm so happy to be a part of this community.
Wow, I love it. And what an awesome and amazing note to end on. Wilmari, Pastor Wilmari, thank you so much for sharing with us, for being here. I love you with my whole heart. And I'm excited to hear the questions and to give away our package. So, Preacher Girls, there it is. I want you to just love each other, advise each other, let Wilmari know that this has meant something to you. And remember forever that once God called you, no one can uncall you. Thank you.